Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to bring a 40-year-old piece of technology into the future, or at least the present, by adding wireless charging. Why? Because we can. Before we get started, a big shout out to Von Rummelsdorf, Kitty Unlisted, and Siberia21, as well as Rich's Random Retro Reviews, has recently passed 6,400 subscribers, so a big shout out to him and congratulations on your channel progress. If you've not seen his channel, go check it out. I will of course put a link below. And Von Rummelsdorf again for supers on my last video. As you know, all the supers and membership are going toward getting a new device for the channel. By the time this is released on Saturday, there should be a new poll up, so don't forget to vote and tell me what you'd like. The technique I'm going to use today can be used on pretty much any device you want, so if you could make any device wirelessly charge, what would you choose and why? And while you're commenting on that, why don't you give a massive welcome to our two newest channel members, Louis Salves 5597 and Thomas Joseph Lamarck 2927. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate your support. Right, let's get into this. So the device we're using for this is in fact a Psion 2. This is the Psion 2 XP. It was released in 1986, making it 40 years old. Happy birthday! The Psion 2 was widely regarded as one of the first usable pocket organizers, as well as being a very useful portable computer. It sold over 500,000 units and is so well made, there are still loads of these knocking about, relatively cheap, on eBay. The unit itself has two memory card slots on the back to add expansion and a serial port on the top which can attach to all manner of devices. It can of course interface with a computer via that serial port, as well as barcode scanners, ultrasonic detectors for measuring distances, voice synthesizers, I kid you not, go check out Menadoo's video on this, I've put a link below, as well as printers and even radio transmitters for a form of early pager. The ability to write, translate and run programs all on board with no additional computer required made this an incredibly flexible machine. If you'd like to know more about it, I have a few videos on it. I'll pop links to those below. Wireless charging works on the principle of magnetic induction. So essentially, if we pass a current through a wire, then we get a magnetic field that acts at 90 degrees to that wire. Introducing or moving a wire into that magnetic field will induce current flow within that wire through induction. So this only happens while the wire is moving in the field. However, if the two wires are static with each other, and instead of a DC, we introduce an AC current, then the magnetic field will flip with each peak and trough. This means that the current induced in the wire will go one way and then the other. So we end up with an AC current induced in that wire. A single wire isn't going to produce much current, so instead we use two coils. By using a coil of wire, for every loop that there is, we get a stronger magnetic field. The stronger the magnetic field, the more current we can induce on the partner coil. Of course, an alternating current isn't particularly useful for charging a battery, so we use a bridge rectifier with smoothing capacitors to create a DC output. This then allows us to simply charge the battery. There are of course significant limitations with wireless charging, primarily the distance between the two devices, and this is because that magnetic field drops off very rapidly following an inverse square law. For this reason, a lot of wireless charging mechanisms use magnets to align the two devices, like on the iPhone. The other option, of course, is to try and increase the field strength, and this can be done by either increasing the number of coils, which means you need a bigger surface area, or by increasing the current. However, if you increase the current, of course, you simply generate a lot more heat, and therefore it becomes even less efficient. For these reasons, wired chargers are always going to be faster and more efficient. So the Psion 2 itself is powered by one of these, a PP3 or 9-volt battery. Standard wireless charging circuits are designed for lithium-ion batteries and tend to output 5 volts as standard, much like a USB socket. Because of that, it's no good for charging a nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery. So because of this, we're going to use a lithium ion battery as our power source, and because of that, we're also going to need to change the voltage output. So here's a few of the things you're definitely going to need. So obviously, you're going to need a wireless charging pad. You're going to need a lithium ion charging circuit. Try and get one that's got under and over voltage protection. You're going to need a battery. It needs to be small, but it doesn't need to be high capacity, as the power draw from the Psion 2 is very low at around 20 milliamp hours. The battery itself you can buy, or perhaps just find one on the street. Next, we need to increase the voltage from a nominal 3.7 to about 8 volts, which the Psion 2 is perfectly happy with. For this, I'm going to use a buck converter. Finally, you're going to need some wire, of course, some wire strippers, although a knife will do, some tape, some foam pads to stick everything down with, a soldering iron, and of course, some degree of competence. Our circuit layout looks a little bit like this. We have the wireless coil going to the battery charging circuit, which charges the battery up to nominally 3.7 volts. This goes through the buck converter to change that 3.7 volts to, well, we're going to aim for 8 volt, and this goes to the Psion. The tricky bit is going to be getting all of this to actually fit. Before you go ahead and attempt to copy my modification, there's a couple of things you need to be aware of, mainly the fact that lithium-ion batteries are incredibly dangerous. They have a very high energy density, and this means that they are prone to exploding and setting on fire. This can occur following short circuit or any kind of distortion or damage to the battery itself, including the application of heat, so you have to be extremely careful if soldering it. So this is for educational purposes only, and I do not recommend you go ahead and do this, but if you are going to, take some simple precautions. First of all, make sure you wear safety gear and make sure you've got a bucket of sand should something happen to the battery. As well as that, you're going to want easy access to the outside because the fumes from a burning lithium battery are toxic. As always, I take literally no responsibility for anything you damage, including yourself, your pets, your property, or more importantly, your Psion 2. So the first thing we're going to need to do is open it up and have a look and see how much space we've got. There's just 3 screws to open this. I'll remove the battery panel. So up at the top there's the speaker. We'll just pop that out and then we can separate the 2 halves completely. That, of course, is the cover for the serial port. So our wireless receiver needs to be as close to the charger as possible. The problem we've got is space. There's not a lot of space in here. The biggest space we've got is up at the top, but unfortunately, that metal casing is going to block our wireless signal, so we can't use that as an area. Instead, it needs to go in the battery compartment, or perhaps just down this edge, which would be on top of this circuit board, sitting as close to that plastic as possible. The other option is to put it externally, but of course that isn't what we want to do. So in here is a coil and then a circuit board, which of course changes it back to a DC charge input. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is split this package open and then separate the 2 things out. So now we've got a coil and above it a circuit board and our connector. Right. So now we've got the board and we've got the coil. So I'm just going to trim this, making sure we don't catch the coil at any point, as that'll ruin it. And that's going to sit there quite nicely. So I need to extend these wires. So the first thing we need to do is check it's going to work through the plastic of the casing. And yes, it's successful. So we'll carry on. Now to make sure that we can actually see the charging light, I've got a second one of these. I'm going to flip it over and just square it up to the edge and draw around it. So put it in this way, draw around it, flipping it the other, and see that the Turning it over, we can see where the LEDs are going to sit, and then we can draw on the opposite edge for the drill hole. So we need to drill this bit at the bottom just here. There's nothing in the way and the circuit board is at a good distance, so let's just get a drill and get that done. So we've drilled the hole, and now I want to make sure that that LED is actually going to line up. So we'll tuck everything back in and put the receiver back onto our wireless charger. Here we go, you can see the red light flashing. I think we're on. Next up, we need to attach the battery to the buck converter. So my plan is to sandwich everything so it's receiver, buck converter and battery. Then on top of that is the rectifier circuit and the charge circuit all sandwiched together. And that all looks to fit, so let's solder this up and then set the voltage on the buck converter. So checking the voltage, we're initially at about 14 volts. So I'm just going to wind that back a bit and see if we can bring it down. Now we're just over 6 volts, so we'll go back a bit because we're aiming for about 8 volts. 8.07, that'll do nicely. Now we've sorted out the voltage, we can connect the battery and buck converter to the charge circuit and the other end to the Psion itself. Okay, so it turns out for my layout, I'm going to need slightly longer wires from the Psion. So I'm just going to extend those. Trying to get it straight in my head how everything's going to fit. That's the way it's going to go. So this will line up with that hole. These two will be squeezed into this section here, and this will feed between those two wires and loop back and in. So, best way. Let's stick this down first with a bit of tape. Let's solder these two wires back on. I want them that way. Right, we're going to tape over these connections just to stop any potential for short circuits. Get this lined up, we're going to plug it back together, stick this back on the wireless charger, and then make sure we're in the right place before we stick it down. So this is going to come in this way, lovely job, and then bend over with that going right down at the bottom, and this is going to come through here, through the middle, feed into the top. I'm going to put a foam tab on here, then I'm going to make sure that that light is lit while I line it up inside the casing and stick it down. Okay, so with a bit of wrestling, I've managed to squeeze everything in, and yeah, I think it'll work. If we pop it on the charger, there's our red light to say that it's on, charging, and there of course is our Psion working. So in theory, this is done. Just need to screw it back together. The real question is, will the bottom panel actually fit? Oh, it's a bit snug, but we're on. And there it is, the world's only wireless charging Psion 2. So here it is, the Psion of the future. We have a little indicator light, which is red when charging and green when fully charged. Now you might be wondering, how long is this battery going to actually last? Well, an average PP3 or 9 volt battery has about 500 milliamp hours at a nominal 9 volts. This gives us 4.5 watts of power. We've used a 350 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery with nominal voltage of 3.7 volts, and this gives us about 1.3 watts. Now the buck converter is going to take away 10 to 20% of that power, so we'll call it 20%, which leaves us with about 1 watt of power. When I first started with the Psion 2, I used a Duracell 9-volt battery and it lasted for 11 months. So if we use that as our baseline, that means it uses approximately 0.41 watts per month. So our lithium-ion battery should last about 2 months. However, of course, we've made it super easy to charge, so this should never really be an issue. So at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, well, if a 9-volt battery lasts 11 months, what's the point in making this modification? And if you wanted to be environmentally friendly and use a rechargeable battery, then you could just use a 9-volt rechargeable battery, or even use one of these, which is a rechargeable 9-volt battery using a lithium-ion power cell. It also has a USB-C connector, and because this one is over the negative, it actually sits the correct direction that you don't even need to remove the battery to charge it. But then, where's the fun in that? I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, as always, a like and subscribe would be excellent. Massive shout out to all the viewers, commenters, subscribers, and especially to the members and supers who are directly supporting this channel, allowing me to make such silly videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss my video, which should be up in 2 weeks' time on the Apple Newton message pad. As always, my name's Hugh. This is Handheld Computing. Thanks for watching.